everybody, good afternoon, Paulette here, and today we have Dr. Mario Brizuela, and we will be sharing with you today about how to jumpstart your essential oil journey. So to start with, I'm Paulette, I'm a functional medicine health coach, and we have Dr. Mario.
Hi, kumusta po kayo dyan? Ako po si Dr. Mario Brizuela. And I'm a medical doctor who incidentally also does integrative medicine. So, yun lang.
So though, we are so curious, like could you share with us your story, how you got started with your wellness journey and the essential oils?
Yeah, well, just like what I shared with you yesterday, I started my search for options in terms of managing my health. When I was 38 years old,
Yes.
so matagal-tagal na rin yun.
Yeah.
38, almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So, of course, because of my genetics, aking mga pinanggalingan ng mga pamilya, we are a lot suffered, also, most of them suffered from arthritis,
Yes.
hypertension, diabetes. And as a doctor, I know that it's just a matter of time before I get the same thing. So my thought then was, how can I delay this? So in my search for answers, I found, of course, one of the life-changing answers to change my lifestyle.
Yes.
So I started changing my lifestyle very well. So aware ako sa diet ko, sa pagkain, especially kanin. So I know how carbs work, I know how protein works. So that medical background actually pushed me to search for options. So, and then of course, when it comes to essential oils, it came a bit later. So I tried muna other things. I actually didn't know about essential oils until around 55 years old now. So I'm already 63.
Wow.
And sabi ko nun, my wife was the one who started this. And then, of course, nung sinasabi sa akin yung oils na yan, sabi ko, parang hindi yata nag-jive doon sa aking gusto mangyari sa buhay.
Yes.
Kasi how can essential oils help a person who's having arthritis?
Yes.
Wala akong makitang chemistry at the outset. Sabi ko, hanapin ko muna yung results. And it took me another 2 years before, again, it was introduced to me na parang paulit-ulit. Actually, the reason why I listened to the presentation was because I just wanted to get rid of her, yung teacher. Sabi ko, parang tumigil na lang. But, you know, unknowingly, nung na-inhale niya, there was an immediate result in just a matter of 2 hours. So, yung fibromyalgia ko, it has been there for more than 20 years.
Wow.
Yung back pain ko, yung inability ko to sleep soundly, pagising-gising, walang quality of sleep, was one of my major struggles, aside from my joints. So when I get to hold of the, the parang experience ko, in just 2 to 3 hours, I was experiencing relief. Of course, it wasn't 100%. It went on for 3 days, sabi ko nga sa'yo. But then after 3 days, or before the end of the 3rd day, natakot ako. Sabi ko, I just cannot afford to have it again.
Yes.
So that's when I started to explore ano bang oil yung naamoy ko. So hindi ko maalam mo ano yung sabi ko dun kay Noemi sa wife. Sabi ko, tanongin mo nga kung anong inamoy ko. When I started to know na lavender pala yun, orange and pepper. And sabi ko, ano yung chemistry nun? So, then of course I search. Available na lang Mr. Google, diba?
Yeah.
So sabi ko, I Googled it initially and then I ended up going to PubMed, which is again my favorite site, even before doTERRA, and other, websites that cater on natural solutions.
Yes.
So that's where I started. Medyo mahabang sagot mo sa tanong.
It's a good answer, in fact, Doc. I love all that you've shared. And of course, it takes an experience for, a medical practitioners to easily delve or believe into something unless there's a science studies that has been established. And so just like Dr. Mario, I just want to share also really quick, Doc, similar with you when I first started with this, I was very skeptical, like you, Doc, no, because in our times right now, the modern times, is that we're more leaning towards the pharma or the medications. And so when I got to start with this, it's just like I tried it, somebody shared it with me, and then at first when I tried it on my stomach, I was having stomach pain since, for quite long time in my life. And then when I started to try the Brizuela and peppermint, that was my first oil experience. Like you don't know, ko, baka ano lang yun, placebo effect. Parang ganon.
Parang budol.
Oh, parang ganon lang. Oh, parang maybe it's not real, no? And then so as time goes by, it happened again, and then I tried, and even to people I know, then that's when I started to be curious like you. I made research, check on the PubMed, some studies, and then one day when my mom was on her deathbed, she had a liver and kidney failure, and she had tuberculosis and edema, and she was very ill that time. She was dying sick, and so I started to make that choice, personal decision, to take on something that will help bring back the balance of my mother's health. Now, for disclaimer purposes, I just want to be sure we're compliant. I'm not saying that people should stop taking medications. We are just sharing about some alternatives that we have had on this journey that helps to bring back our body into homeostasis. So, Doc, my next question is that, could you share with us about the modern approach?
Well, I don't know which one is modern and which one is old. Kasi if you go back in time, when I was still studying medicine, I've already heard about oregano. I've heard about several oils that are existing way back then. And I'm a Christian and I read the Bible. And I've also heard, I've also read, and understood that there are 25 essential oils in the Bible. So if that is the reference point, then indeed the oils are old.
True.
So, and then the pharmaceuticals came later. So for modern approach or Western medicine, they are more into the more recent approaches in management or managing diseases. So we were trying to do that. In the College of Medicine, for all those who are watching us, we were trying to prescribe. We were trying, of course, to diagnose. And then once we are able to diagnose, we are supposed to be getting into the synthetic management of diseases. And that was our background. And I think I cannot say mali totally. Actually, we need that. Para sa akin, in synthetic medications, we need that. But the point there that I'm trying to stress now is, if you can combine, just like what we are doing in the US, we are combining the synthetic or the Western medicine with the integrative way of managing diseases. Because if you study how many are consulted, the percents that are consulting doctors, wherever you are, maybe in the Philippines, in the US, or anywhere in the globe, 80 to 90% of them are stress related.
Yes.
So if you are looking at the causation of disease or the thing that makes it worse, if you manage stress, kasi root cause eh. So if you're managing the root cause, then you are also managing the results. So that's why I always advocate for, say, look into your stress level, your cortisol level, your lifestyle. And then once you're able to evaluate your self-honesty, then you can suggest some integrative approaches, and that includes oil, massage,
Definitely.
acupuncture, maybe acupressure, all of these things. So the combination actually is the one that we are really moving towards too.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that, Doc. So I definitely agree with what Doctor have just shared, no? So now, speaking of modern approach, like Doc have just said, the combination of two works best, no? And so when we really take a look at the history during the old times, Doc, you are right. essential oils have been used for more than 10,000 years ago, including the practice of Ayurvedic and also the Chinese herbs and medicines, right? And have you ever wondered how people survived during the old times, right? When the pharmaceutical products or the capsules and medicines doesn't exist yet. People have been using plants, di ba, Doc? So where does the oil come from? It comes from plants, right? So actually this has been used. Only the difference is that the modern times is that we have a more scientific and research about it that supports how these oils can really help with us. So now in what we do, like for me as a functional medicine health coach, we address the root cause, just like Dr. Mario have shared a while back. We take a look at just the symptoms and the disease, but together with a doctor, we collaborate with them by looking deeper into the whole body systems. Like Doc mentioned about stress, indeed, is one of the main triggers that is causing disease or inflammation in our body, and our whole system is responding in different ways or producing unwanted chemicals in our body when we are feeling stressed. So Doc, can you share with us, I know our viewers are so curious, what are essential oils?
Well, if you look at the chemistry of the oils, it's basically a product extracted directly from plants.
True.
And there are so many oils in the market. And we're very familiar of some oils like lavender,
Yes.
peppermint, and these are the more popular in the market. And it's all over the place. It's in the malls, and of course including the doTERRA oils. And these are volatile compounds. So, kaya nga pag inamoy mo siya, it easily gets out of the oil, the liquid form,
Yes.
and then it gets out in the air, and then you smell it. So that's where it penetrates the nose and goes to the brain, etc. So that's basically the oils. And you can also apply it topically when you have that ability or the or insensitive skin.
Yes.
Because there are skin that are super sensitive to oil, so you can just apply it like in its purest form. So you have to be careful, and you have to put in or add fractionated coconut oil, or maybe you want to do a roller bottle with a fractionated coconut oil. So that's basically the oil. And ang kaibahan nga lang dito sa mga oils na ito available sa market is its purity.
True.
Kasi iba, it's from plants. Where did it came from? How was it produced?
Yeah,
The extraction process. And the impurities, kasi commerce, may business side. So if you look at the business side of it, some people dilute the oil so it can, they can gain more profit. In contrast to the doTERRA oils,
Yeah,
they're more on the pure side. Kaya nga, whenever I encounter patients that are really very, very serious about their health, sabi ko, are you willing to pay a relatively higher price for a faster relief of your symptoms or even sign? Or you can use the other oils in the market, and I'm not sure about the results.
It's true.
So, when I talk about essential oils, I always put that on the table. So you can make a choice. You want a good result and support your body systems, or you want a result that is unpredictable. Kasi sa medicine, palagi namin sinasabi, yung bioavailability. When you talk about bioavailability, it's easily absorbed in the body. Whatever route you smell, you topical, ingest, is it absorbable? 90%. Or you probably absorb 20% of it, and the rest can be excreted along that same route.
True. I agree with all that you just shared, Doc, about the essential oils, and then what makes doTERRA different from those oils that we see outside over the counter. And Doc have just shared about CPTG, Certified Pure Tested Grade. Now, what does this mean? So, because there was really no third party that governs the essential oil industry. So it means that anyone who knows how to distill the essential oil or extract that from the plant, they can definitely just put in the bottle, let's say 100% pure, even it's not pure. Doc Mario mentioned about the alterations or adulterations of the essential oils. And so many people does this with those that you see outside in the market, and that's why they are cheaper. Now, one thing that I admire about doTERRA or the owners of the company, doTERRA itself, the name is the gift of the earth. So when they created or built this company, they want the people to experience the true healing of these essential oils and by producing real pure. And so they established the CPTG. It means like a third party that validates, inspects, and checks how these oils were made. And so when you take a look at your doTERRA bottle, you could either see a QR scan code here or a serial number. And then when you go to the website source2you.com, that's a third party and independent entity that, you know, there's a scientific studies or research how these oils were made, where it came from. This is specific bottle that I'm holding into. And it's been published transparently, certified again by third-party scientists and doctors. And I personally would say there's no other company that does the way doTERRA do it. Yeah. So, my next question naman is that, so we need to share to our viewers, like, how can they use these essential oils? So there are three ways, right? The aromatic, the topical, and the internal use. So do you want to share first about how can they use aromatically?
Okay, well, from the word itself is aroma. Diba? When you talk about aroma, you're referring to a lot of scents. Amoy.
Yes.
Like the scent of coffee, the scent of a lot of perfume, or any synthetic things, or food in particular. Now, ang question kasi ng mga tao, just like me, paano ba matutulungan yung aking organ systems or body systems by smelling? We forgot that our nose is our closest access point to the brain. So for those that are watching us, very important po na malaman ninyo na inyong ilong, kagaya ng ilong po, malaki ang butas. Some of them are, properly sized. Pag naamoy niyo po yung isang bagay, it goes to the brain, the aroma itself. And that by itself goes to your system. Kaya nga pag meron kayo naamoy, may hilo kayo. Diba? Pag naamoy kayong mabawang kilikili sa bus, medyo hindi maganda pakiramdam ninyo. Mabango yung anak mo, mabango yung asawa mo, you feel a lot different. The same thing po sa oils. Kasi nga yung oils, once it gets there, the chemistry goes with it. Like say for instance, brie, which is again one of my favorites. Pag naamoy mo yung brie, it actually gets to your sinuses and gets a more stable cellular system there. Kaya yung allergic rhinitis natin, very common yun. Especially nung nasa US natin. When I smell that, agad-agad ko na ako ng instant relief na aking symptoms. Which is good. Kasi pa just smelling. Well, sa Philippines, hindi kakaiba. Meron dito mga brand, I don't want to mention that. Na ang mga nanay parang go-to. Diba? So, that by itself is the way, the route when you smell the aroma.
Yeah. True. Thank you, Doc Mario, for sharing that, no? So to add on with what Doc has just shared, so here you can see, here next to us is a diffuser. So this is also a way to use the oils aromatically. Just put a few drops, let's say, like Doc preferred brie. Just, of course, open this and then put the drops, perhaps like 3 to 6 drops, okay? Of the essential oil, and then put some water, cover it, and then here is diffusing. Now, if you don't have a diffuser, another way is that you could simply put a drop here on your hand and then rub this, and you can do hand cupping. Make sure you're not covering the eyes because you don't want the mint because it's a volatile aromatic compound. You might feel them in your eyes, so just here and take a deep breath. So that is aromatic. And like Doc have shared, when we inhale that in 30 to 60 seconds, it goes directly to our brain and in our body. Yeah, so next, Doc, is how can they use the oils topically?
Okay, well, ito may ano na ako dito. Meron na akong palaging warning.
Sure.
If you choose to use the oil topically, make sure that it's diluted. Kasi nga hindi mo alam yung sensitivity mo.
Yeah.
And normally, doTERRA recommends sa paa. Why? Because yung paa natin pinakamakapal maliban sa mukha.
It's the biggest hole of our body, so the healing powers of the oils can go into.
So you can apply it there. Kung pure oil sa paa, pero kung hindi ka sure doon sa sensitivity mo, always use a diluent or fractionated coconut oil. Now, but because sometimes the thing that you want to address needs a lot of attention. Like say for instance, yung headache or like other symptoms. Ako nire-recommend ko sa kilikili.
Yes.
But of course, dapat fractionated coconut oil. Kasi nga, ang mga hormones na binibigay ng mga doktor, normally ina-apply dito sa mga highly muscular area or highly absorbent sa kilikili. But then again, sabi ko nga kanina, fractionated coconut oil is the key para maging safe yung application. Otherwise, pagka nag-apply ka dyan, baka mamaya masunog yan, mangate.
Yes.
So always use a fractionated coconut oil. Ang tanong, which is more effective? Effective ba yung aromatic or topical? Actually, wala namang akong masasabi na parang mas effective yung isa.
Yes.
Or okay or wrong.
Depends on how you want to work in your body or depende sa case ba, gano'n, no, Doc?
Well, yun nga, the skin is highly absorbent. Kaya nga, di ba, ingat tayo sa mga pinapahid-pahid natin.
Yes.
Kasi ang skin can absorb everything. Except, lalo na kung lipid-based or fat-based yung mga ina-apply. Kasi it can easily be absorbed. Kasi nga, lipid yun.
True. So, to add on with what Doc shared, no, ito yung fractionated coconut oil. Wow! This is being sourced in your, I think, sa Bicol.
Yeah, I wanted to visit that siguro next time.
Yeah, I hope we could have you in December. So to add on with what Doc had just shared about using these oils topically, so let's say you put 2 to 3 drops on your palm and you may dilute it with fractionated coconut oil, and then before you apply it topically, And there are people sometimes, they make their own oil blends, when you have roller bottles or spray bottles, Now, we also recommend when using the essential oils topically to dilute with this, so that way, let's say you want to work with some specific area that's painful. Now, if you dilute this with a fractionated coconut oil, that can last for like 5 to 10 minutes and leave it there, and it will go deeper. The penetration goes deeper to that area that you want to work on.
Yeah, especially for mga joints, mga joint pains.
True, tama dun si Doc. Alright, now ito yung pinaka-important, Doc, na part, na third way to use essential oil. It's internal or ingest, di ba? So for some, skeptical, safe bang i-ingest yan? Mamaya nakakatakot or, di ba, Doc? Siyempre yung dun sa outside the market, to be honest, like Doc have shared, those are adulterated. They have synthetic fillers, so we don't recommend you take that internally. Now, like I've shared, to be clear to everybody, when we talk about internal usage, Doc and me, we are referring to doTERRA because we know how these oils were made. So Doc, paano ba gamitin internally itong mga essential oils?
Well, hindi lahat, by the way, hindi lahat ng oils na can be taken internally.
Sure.
So not all of them can be taken internally. So you have to be careful.
Yes.
And not all people can handle internal intake, even if it's allowed. So, especially yung mga oils like oregano, pag kanila kayo ngayon dyan direct, mahapli.
Yeah,
It
because-
burns the mucosa.
Yeah.
So the safest way is to use the veggie cups.
Yes.
Diba?
True.
Yung nabibili rin yan. I don't know kung available na yan.
We don't have yet. Yeah.
Maybe that's the next step. So you can put it on a veggie cup and then you can take it internally.
Yes.
But ako, I always recommend na mag-upisa muna sa aromatic or topical before
True.
internal. Kasi pag sinabing internal, systemic.
Yeah.
Diba? So it goes around the body. It can also be systemic, aromatic, and topical, but yung systemic na sustained yung effect niya. Now, there are oils that I recommend taking like via the mucosa, like copaiba or copaiba, whatever you may want to pronounce that. By putting a drop here and then rub it above the roof of the mouth.
Roof of the mouth.
Kasi mas mabilis.
Yes.
Remember yung copaiba is, personally, it's one of my oil for my brain function.
Yes.
So immune system, brain function. If I put it there, para akong kakaroon ng boost ng energy every day.
Yeah.
So I take that. So, and a lot more, like frankincense, pwede mong gawin. But all the other oils, I would recommend na taken muna through the other two, or either of the two. And my wife is a heavy internal intake.
Yes.
She takes yarrow palms, all of these things. Some of them are not currently present in the Philippines. So it really depends on the condition of the patient.
Yes. Okay, so thank you, Doc, about internal. Now, tama si Doc. Now, I want to clarify, like Doc have mentioned, there are oils that we cannot take internally. So, for example, here we have deep blue. Later, we'll talk more deeper how to use deep blue. If you notice carefully, these have a safety seal cup, okay? Now, because this is only recommended for topical use. Now, when you avail these oils, there are guides that shows which one you can use aromatic, topically, internally, and which one you need to dilute. Like sinabi ni Doc, diba, yung oregano, it's very high in phenols. That's why the burning sensation is quite too strong. So when you take, for example, the oregano, it's only recommended 10 days or less direct under the tongue. But if you're going beyond 10 consecutive days, we highly recommend you use veggie capsules because that can burn the esophagus or the mucus like Doc had shared, no? And then, for example, for this oil, it has, because deep blue is an oil blend, and inside of this has a wintergreen. Now, wintergreen is not recommended for internal use. It's because it's quite similar, Doc, to blood thinners. And, safety is always first when we work with our patients or clients. So we just recommend that for topical use. Does it make sense? Now, to add on about how to use the oils internally, so for example, frankincense, and I want to use this internally. Now, if you have a dropper, you could just put a drop under the tongue, here. Now, under the tongue, because in less than 60 seconds, that's like the IV in our body, it goes straight to the heart. Now, I want to be clear to everybody that I'm just referring to this. I'm not referring to those that you see outside, yung mga mura, Doc, di ba? Kasi, something might happen to you that we don't know.
Delikado.
Yeah, delikado yun because those are the oils that have fillers or we don't know, hinalo nila dun, Doc.
That's true.
Okay. So, Doc, since medyo sinimulan na natin i-discuss sa viewers natin yung mga oils, bakit di natin simulan? I-share sa kanila mabilis lang, Doc. Anong use nitong 10 oils itong nasa harap natin? Okay, Doc. You wanna share with Brit? Kasi favorite oil mo to, Doc.
Oo nga eh. Well, a while ago, I was talking to Mike. I was sharing about breathe, especially those who nagka-COVID. This is really a very good oil for your pulmonary function.
Yes.
So it helps us breathe in and breathe out. And it has the chemistry, meron siyang cineole, which actually helps restore the ciliary function and respiratory system. It also has the ability to help restore function of mucosa. So it's really a good one. I've been using this for almost 5 years now.
Wow.
And for my allergic rhinitis, I cannot get out of the house, especially sa US, without this. I cannot go to bed without this. The reason is, I have my allergic rhinitis. So every time lalabas ako, I sneeze and this. So mahirap. And then, of course, may uhog na lalabas. So, hindi magandang makita. And of course, sa gabi naman, because I snore, kami dalawang mag-asawa, palakasan kami ng snore. So, but when we started using breathe, nakakatulog kami may mga.
Wow, nice.
It helps your lungs and get that thing going.
So remember, breathe is an oil blend that's good for respiratory support. All right. Now with frankincense, before I ask Doc to share something on this, this is also one of my favorite oils, Doc, frankincense. Okay. Now when you go to PubMed, the resource library for medical research and science, like you, Doc, I'm very skeptical, and so I checked on this. And I saw a lot of great studies about frankincense and what it can do to our body. The combination of frankincense and myrrh. There are so many studies from PubMed that shows how it prevents the growth of cancer cells and tumors, So that's my sharing for frankincense. And we've been using this a lot at home, Doc. So how about you, Doc? What can you say about frankincense?
Well, again, if you read the chemistry behind that, I always go back to chemistry kasi yun naman nag-produce ng results ko. It's very rich in sesquiterpene and it has that apoptotic effect.
Yes.
So yung mga bulok ng mga cells, talagang dinidestroy niya and dinidiscard niya.
Yes.
And it's also that ability to enhance brain function. So there are a lot of preclinical, different clinical studies that it recommends frankincense for brain function, focusing, and all of this. And also good for immune support. Yun ang gusto ko actually when COVID strikes, that's almost 3 years ago. Yan, saka yung Kupaipa. Palagi yan, everyday yan, below the ground. And I cannot, yan ang hindi ko pwedeng mabuhay na wala. Sabi ko, I really have this. That's why ako ngayon, bago na ako COVID. Of course, your immune support is very important. If everything fails, your vaccine fails, everything fails in you, yung dalawa na yun.
Yeah, thank you for that, Doc. Pinagtabi ko itong oregano at melaleuca. Kasi may magandang video na science na study about these two oils. Now, I've watched a video about how the doctor have shared how these two oils can work synergistically together, Now, when I watched that video, it evidently shows how the melaleuca and oregano can, the bacteria has a sludge that covers them. And bacteria has the ability to make that goopy cover that they have, so it could keep them. Now, what these two oils can do is that when we use this together, the tea tree will modify, imagine like an M&M shell, And then inside is like the chocolate. So imagine the bacteria is like that. Now when you use this together, the tea tree will modify that sludge, the one that covers the bacteria. Okay, it rips it off so that oregano has the ability to puncture that hole to penetrate the bacteria and kill it. The oregano is like a natural alternative for antimicrobial effect. Yeah. So, Doc, what can you say about this oil?
Yeah. Well, in the US, these two are being used to counter the multi-drug resistant infection for MRSA. So we have been using this in labs and of course in veterinary clinics. There are a lot of MRSA infections in the US, and we use this to really put a stop to that. And maganda yung results niya. Actually, I always recommend this for cough that has been there for more than a week.
Yeah.
Pagka mga pasyente or even kaibigan, kamag-anak, natatawag, Dok, hindi yung pwedeng gamot na pwedeng ipalit dito sa aking iniinom. Kasi I've been taking this for a week, or maybe 2 weeks, na hindi gumagaling-galing yung upo. And then sabi ko, well, that probably is a multi-drug resistant organism that hit you. Sabi ko, try mo to. And surprisingly, after 2 or 3 days, mawawala agad. So, I'm really happy for this too. Best friend yan ng mga ganang infection. So,
Yeah.
I'm happy na i-recommend palagi yan. I never get the chance to use it except accidentally.
Yeah.
Kasi nagmamadali ako one time na na-drop ko yung instead of Kopaya ba yung oregano.
Wow. Ang tapang yun, Doc.
Once na nangyari sa akin yun, one of those stupid moments.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Doc. And also, tea tree is good to use, you know, as alternative. Let's say, na-mention ni Doc kasi yung body odor, no? Magandang combine tong tea tree.
It's also good for pimples.
Yeah, and pimples too,
Nalagay nyo sa mga
breakouts.
cleanser nyo.
Yeah, definitely. And also now next oil, this is one of our highly used oils. Lemon, you know, lemon is best known for detox and cleansing. Now, every time I take a glass of water, I put a drop of lemon. And speaking of lemon, Doc, now, I'm grateful that this oil, and we have several oils that are FDA approved here in Philippines, and of course in US, no? So I put a drop in my glass of water. Of course, you mix that a bit, and then that's really very helpful for our body. Now, I just want to make clear to everybody, when you do that, make sure you're using a glass, wag yung plastic na baso, no? Because these citrus oils have the ability to burn those plastics, and we don't want you having to take that internally with your water. So make sure you use glass. So Doc, can you share with us about lemon to our viewers?
Well, lemon is a good cleanser. It has the ability to cleanse practically everything, every surface, including body surfaces. So if you want to add that in your cleanser, your skin, you can do that. It can also be used to cleanse the environment when you're using, especially pag maamoy yung kusina or Paulette or whatever. It's also good for cleansing the top of the table.
Yes.
I don't know if you've used that.
We
Yan yung
do.
ginagamit namin sa US instead of surface, mga
Yes.
glass and wood surfaces. Of course, may mga formula yun, water
Yes.
or whatever. So, nalagyan namin na sa cleanser. Sometimes we add on for that. It's also good to be taken internally sa water na sinasabi mo or tea to get you. The one thing that I always warn people who use lemon internally, especially on water or tea, na in like 2 weeks, mag-iiba yung kulay ng kanilang poop or yung
Yes.
ume. The reason for that is mag-iiba yung kulay tsaka amoy. Minsan nagiging greenish. Okay? The reason for that is it excretes all the remaining stool or colonic contents towards the outside. So just be careful. Huwag kayo magtataka. Some people experience, especially ako, experience that as well.
True. And tama si Doc, no? We use that also, Doc, at home. We combine the lemon and On Guard in a spray bottle to clean the surface. We don't have those over-the-counter chemically made because all that is chemically made are endocrine disruptors. And imagine, when you touch this and you use these chemicals, it touches the biggest part of our organ, the skin. And it enters our body, it binds with your cells or the blood, it goes through our bloodstream, you know. So that's why some patients, they have some hormonal imbalances or some disease may come up, right? Now, Doc, ito yung next nating oil. Peppermint, you know, maraming may gusto, yung most popular, di ba? And mint is quite known as like an uppers, right? To help you feel uplifted. Doc, so Doc, what can you say about peppermint oil?
Okay, it's the BOGO style.
Yeah, true.
Mag-release ng buy one, get one.
Sold
May
out.
paglaban ng patayan yung mga kumpili lang. Well, I love peppermint because of the mint content. Diba? Pipireta, menta. It actually energizes. It's one of the oils, aroma touch. Wherein it's invigorating. If it's a hot day, it can refresh you. It has the ability to lower down body temperature. That's why I recommend that for fever.
Yes.
So, and mabilis siyang magpapaba. I tried that myself and it was very effective. Now, the other effect ng peppermint is focusing.
Yes.
So if you're working on some papers, if you're working like more mind work, diffuse it and it will get you on the go for thinking or mental process. And there's a lot more. Sometimes you use it for cooking, for cookies. Diba?
Yes.
You flavor it. You flavor your salad with peppermint.
Yes.
And scent kasi siya. Ang ganda ng amoy. It's encouraging. I diffuse it in my car.
Wow.
Para okay ang pag-drive, diba?
Yes, para may focus,
Oh,
no?
nice. I also use that to help me manage my migraine.
True.
Okay, so yan yung mga personal uses ko dyan. Some people has a lot more. So it's also a favorite DIY item or some perfume.
True.
Yung mga pabango-pabango.
And also, pwedeng alternate for mouthwash, di ba? Sa glass of water, put a drop, and you can use that to gargle.
Mouthwash or ilagay sa mask.
True.
Wheat and
Sa
peppermint
mask.
actually.
True.
Medyo mabaho na yung hininga mo.
True.
Diba, kumain ka ng tuna or hindi ka nagsisipilyo o nakalimutan, you can gargle it to freshen up your breath.
True, di ba? And it's so convenient kasi may beadless version to. Now, to add what Doc said, no, same din sa anak ko, Doc, pag may fever or lagnat siya, I use this peppermint. I apply about 4 to 5 drops on the backbone of my daughter and then under her feet. And in less than an hour, it lowers the body temperature. Wow! Tapos yung next oil naman natin, Doc, na medyo paborito rin ng most ng tao is yung On Guard. Now, before I ask Doc to share about On Guard, may share lang akong mabilis na story. During the 13th century, you know, there was like a plague that happened in Europe. It's called bubonic plague. Now, there were bubonic thieves, no? Yung parang may beak silang ganon. And so these thieves, they were stealing the gold tooth. Di ba nung panahon daw puso yung ngipin na gold? And so that time, parang similar yung bubonic plague sa recent pandemic that we just had. Many people died, you know, and they couldn't find some solutions during that time how they can survive that bubonic plague. So those thieves, they go to the graveyard and they will steal those golden tooth or teeth, no? And so one day, pinahuli sila ng king, and the king asked them, "What's your secret? Bakit hindi daw sila namamatay? Ano yung secret nyo?" And so their secret was in that beak, yung mask nila was plants, herbs, and essential oils. And in that beak, what's inside is the wild orange, the cinnamon, rosemary, clove, and eucalyptus, which is exactly yung laman ng On Guard, oh. So yun yung ginamit ng thieves, kaya sila nag-survive. Alright, so Doc, what can you say about On Guard?
Well, that's my, kumbaga sa top 5, yan yung aking isa sa top 5.
True.
Frankincense, breathe, and then On Guard. The reason is, it's very good to manage upper respiratory infection.
True.
Kasi nga may antimicrobial infection. So every time I feel like may sore throat ako, di ba, tayo dalawa, we talk a lot. Especially when I do the rounds dito sa Philippines, when I educate people, even sa US, whenever I do just a lot of talking, it helps me soothe my upper respiratory system. And every time I feel like may magkakaroon ako ng sore throat, nag-gargle lang ako niyan. Half of that I gargle, half I take internally. And surprisingly, when I started doing that, mabilis yung effect. Dati may mga lozenges ako, and all this crazy candy na relief ng sore throat. Pero nung tinitake ko na to, parang siya nga naman magic. And one of my doctor friends, actually that's his favorite, together with his family. And of course, plus including the scent that it provides you because of the blend itself. And of course, dun sa may mga diabetes, managing blood sugar because of the cinnamon.
Yeah, the cinnamon.
Kung wala ubusan ka ng Smart and Sassy or cinnamon itself, that's a good alternative.
True.
Yung On Guard. And of course, again, cleaning surfaces, pwede ka mag-DIY dun sa tinatag natin mga fabric softener, using that. And of course, marami naman itong line hindi lang yung On Guard oil, marami siya. But kung wala ka na yung mga iba, use the oils.
True. Agree ako dyan, Doc. Kaya sa bahay, medyo, like you, Doc, nasa top 5 ko to. Malakas kami dito. But if you...
Actually, monthly na, kaubos kami ng isa niya.
Oh,
Because of its multiple uses.
true. And at home, we keep diffusing this 24/7 and yung breathe. Yeah. Sa bahay, mabilis din to, Doc. Alright, now, we go now to our next oil, Doc. Digestion. You know, this is an oil blend that is good for the digestive support. So, Doc, what can you say about the digestion oil?
Yun nga, sa top 5 ko yan. Because I started basically on some of the emotional oils like lavender. Yung digestion na yan helped me recover from my GERD, hyperacidity. I've been using a lot of medication, synthetic, to heal my GERD. And I was facing a wall, very high wall, that I can no longer make progress. But when I got to learn itong digestion is good for digestive support and it basically restores the function of your digestive system.
Yes.
Sabi ko nga, i-try ko nga yan. So I started slow, applying it topically. Kaya sabi ko, but I was so irritated by it. So sabi ko kay Noemi, after 2 days of applying it, sabi ko naman muna na yung aking dito. Sabi ko, itigil ko na yan. So, and then I shifted to internal intake. Tapos when I shifted to internal intake, after 3 days, I no longer feel that bloating. Yung
Yes.
hyperacidity and bloating. Sabi ko, kakaiba yung results. So, and then I made progress. And then sabi ko, wala bang ibang option in
Yes.
digestion? Then sabi niya, let me explore. And then that was when the time na lumabas yung soft gel niya. So, uminom ako ng soft gel. And I continued for about 6 months. And then I combined it with another, yung probiotics and doTERRA.
Yes.
Alam mo, hanggang ngayon, that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Nakakape na ako. And even Americano, yung mga espresso blend, espresso type of coffee. Wala na yung bloating, wala na yung hyperacidity. Actually, my doctor was surprised. Kasi I have my doctor as well. Yung gastroenterologist ko, who's been monitoring me for many years. Sabi niya, what did you think? Kasi sabi ko, hindi na ako napapareseta.
Yes.
Tapos when she did the endoscopy, sabi niya, ang ganda naman dyan. Wala na yung pulang-pula na yan dati. Wala namang ulcer. But I have that very red gastric system.
Yes.
Sometimes it even goes towards the intestine.
Yes.
So sabi niya, sabi ko, I just don't digest.
Yeah, digestion.
Nagulat siya. Sabi niya, ano yan? Actually, may drama yan. When I started that, sabi niya, yun. And then, syempre, gastroenterologist siya, puro synthetic.
Yeah.
And then I started telling about essential oil. Tapos at the end of the visit, nag-enroll. Show up in an account. It was
True, di ba?
the user.
True, that's nice, di ba? So that's the best way to make the doctors, no?
Kasi may evidence.
Yeah, may
And
evidence.
meron ng mga doktor, di ba? Karami sa kanila, mamimiloso po una. Tapos lulukuhin ka. Tapos maya-maya, pag sila na may sakit, hindi nila magamot yung sarili nila.
True yan.
Happen to.
True, Doc. No, natuwa ako sa sinabi mo. Medyo similar tayo, Doc, no? So this is my, like, first oil and the peppermint, no? I had that problem with my gut. And then, yeah, since then, I have not depend or use any medications. And in fact, our whole family, since we have these oils at home, no, wow, we're getting closer to our last 2 oils. Now, Doc, I know yung lavender na mention mo, no? Yung lavender, I think parang halos lahat ito pasok sa top 5 joke.
Dami top 5.
Parang walang top dati eh. Parang top 5 dati. Now, actually, highly used din itong lavender. Now, lavender is high in linalool, which is good for the calming effect. Kaya pag pumapasok tayo sa spa, di ba, Doc? Parang yan yung dinidifuse, pampakalma, pamparelax. So, Doc, could you share with us something about lavender? Paano ito nakakatulong sa atin?
Actually, last year, during the convention, I was so happy about how lavender evolved. Diba? Kasi it evolved from just the regular lavender. Tapos after so many laboratories and studies na ginawa, it ended up na lavender is pharmaceutical grade.
Yes.
I don't know if that's
Pharmaceutical grade yung lavender natin.
pharmaceutical grade to the point of every test that was done, consistent yung results.
Yes.
So that time, I was so blessed or encouraged. Sabi ko, wow. So that's the reason why that explains, kasi ito yung unang oil that really helped me calm down my muscle. Remember?
Yeah.
So yung first one
Sa fibromyalgia.
fibromyalgia ko. So sabi ko, and since then I was using it, and until now, I use it for my sleep, I use it if I'm a little bit edgy, medyo mainit ang ulo ko, or kinakabahan ako, I use it. And even sa mga plane trips, palagi kong inaamoy siya bago ako matulog. Especially mga long haul, US to Philippines. So yun, I use it. And very relaxing, very calming. And of course, other uses can be yung mga napaso, pero biro naman kasi ako magluto na tumitilamsik yung mantika. So I don't use it for that purpose. Well, in-encourage ako ng asawa ko to use that with rosemary para sa hair. Yung hair ko, di ba, yun, wala na. But then sabi ko, hindi ako kasi masyadong concerned sa hair ko. Confident naman ako sa looks ko. Sabi ko, huwag na. But some other people who are not, a bit confident of their hairs. Even among women, I recommend that for healthy roots ng hair. And together, of course, with another one, which is rosemary. And very effective siya. I've seen people grow their hairs or improve the bulk of their hairs using that. Hindi nga na ako patient. Maybe I can try maybe next year. Towards the end of the year.
True.
So it's really good. I love that oil, for it's I think kumbaga sa ranking as a top 3 ko siya.
All right, now, finally, we are on our last oil, Doc, diba? I'm sure highly use nyo rin itong deep blue kasi fibromyalgia is a body pain, diba? So, in our home, Doc, highly used to. Kaya pag may, like you mentioned, bogo, ito talaga, itong 10 to 20 pieces, binibili ko nito pag bogo to. Anyway.
Bihira nga lang. Bakit pa bihira?
Request natin to sa kanila, Joe. Okay, now deep blue is an oil blend that is good for managing body discomfort. Right, so deep blue is good for soothing the muscles. So Doc, dahil ito ang iyong medyo journey na yung story is the fibromyalgia. Can you share with us about deep blue? I'm sure you have a great insight about this oil.
Di ba kasi si Mrs. Unang-una siya nagpa-certify sa aromatouch. Many years ago, I think 3 or 4. No, more than 3 years ago. So that's when I first encountered this one. Itong deep blue. But then, prior to that, meron akong konting experience of deep blue. When there is an attack of gout. Kasi since nag-start ako sa doTERRA, I only had one attack. And that was during my early years. Of course, I managed my diet, I do my exercise. When I had my mild attack of gout, pinahiram ko lang siya, yung hindi ko masyadong masakit. I did that twice a day for 3 days. And hindi ako uminom ng para sa gamot ng gout. And then, napansin ko, nawala na lang yung puno.
Yes.
So yung redness or inflammation. And even yung pagka may attack, may init yung surface ng skin.
Yeah.
Puso na siya nawala. So sabi ko, what's in there? What's in there? So, nung in-examine ko yung chemistry nito, it's anti-inflammatory effect. Sabi ko, kaya pala. Kasi the natural content actually help my local inflammation subside.
Yes.
So that's why every time na may na-encounter akong mga gouty arthritis or even yung regular arthritis, muscle, yung mga osteoarthritis, mga ganun. I always, those are diagnoses. And I tell them, what drugs are you taking? And sabi nila, blah, blah. Tapos sabi ko, why don't you add, not necessarily taking the medication, why don't you add deep blue? And then ina-add ko yung turmeric.
Yeah.
So, na-notice nila, previously, nung hindi nila dinadagdag yung ganun, mahaba yung length of time na recovery. Like 2 weeks bago mawala yung totally. Pero nung ina-add na nila, less than a week, okay na sila.
True.
So sabi ko, that's the way medicine should function, ideally. So while you're taking that, to shorten the impact of the chemical substance that the patient is taking, do it integratively para naman matulungan yung pasyente.
True. Kaya sa house then, like we don't know, so I use this deep blue a lot, along with the so many other oils that we have here, no? Now, with that said, now apart from the essential oils also, like in my practice, I educate my clients about what is the root cause of the pain. So, for example, top one culprit na trigger is the gluten, you know, because when we eat something gluten, it goes to our gut. The gluten release a chemical called zonulin, and the zonulin, it punctures a little hole in the gut system, and so those that are not meant to enter our body, nag-enter siya. So how our immune system respond to that is that parang nakikita, uy, may alien nakapasok sa body. So they attack that, then it confuses them. So yung tissue ina-attack. Kaya yung iba may knee pain, may joint pain. So together with the integration of this, combining that, it helps support to soothe that kind of discomfort in the muscles and joints. Now, Doc, since na-share na natin sa mga viewers natin, itong top 10 oils, you know, how do you integrate this overall in your practice, Doc? Alright, so Doc, now na natapos na natin itong i-share sa lahat, sa viewers natin itong mga oils, how do you integrate this in your practice?
Okay. Now, first of all, syempre as a doctor, you have to see the patient in his or her totality. As a human being. Every day kasi, iba yung person, like you, goes through different levels of joy, trials or challenges. Sometimes they enjoy it, sometimes they don't. And they have a separate lifestyle as you do. So they eat different food, they go through different stress levels, and they have mental function, and they have their own families to think about. So based on that premise, importante na diseases are produced, not just because there is an infection.
True.
Diseases are produced because people tend to react and interact with their environment in a unique way. That's why palagi kong binabalik yung, halimbawa, nag-manifest ng ganitong sign or symptom. Ano ba yung pinagdadaanan ng tao? So, when you understand the person as a total human being, with all those challenges that they face every day, then you can easily integrate the use of natural solutions para magkaroon sila ng mas complete sense of their humanity. Hindi na sila nagkakasakit because they get this kind of genes from their parents.
Yes.
Diba? They got diabetes because they inherited that from their parents. But of course, kinakailangan mo silang turuan muna why and what they need to do para magkaroon sila mas malinaw na understanding on what they have to undergo and the process that they have to complete para mas lalo sila magkaroon ng tinatawag na wellness. Diba?
Yes.
Kasi when you talk about wellness, you're talking about homeostasis.
True.
The balance of practically all of the 10 organ systems, including the endocannabinoid system, para magkaroon siya ng function na mas beneficial sa kanyang pagkatao. So medyo malalim yung mga sinasabi ko. But for those that really are into wellness or want to be a person who has that kind of experience, you really need to get yourself into its real form para magkaroon ka ng tamang pananaw sa buhay and how to really get into that functional level na maayos yung 10 organ systems, okay yung pananaw mo sa buhay, etc. This is not an overnight process. And I realize na over time, na people tend to respond in a different way. Some welcome your suggestion, some are very resistant, some are building walls, etc. Iba-ibang level eh. That's why I don't hard sell the product itself. So when they're ready, when they welcome the products, then we can talk about it. Sometimes I give them samples, like say, I prepare na sa pagtulog, then I give them samples of lavender to calm down.
Yes.
And then of course, sometimes if it's needed, pharmaceutical med. Pero kung makikita nila na yung lavender works for them, then I transition that to natural solution. So it really depends on the person. So wala ditong walang parang template na lahat na ito palagi ang response.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of freedom of response when it comes to integrating natural solutions to medical practice.
Thanks for that, Doc, for that great insight about the medical perspective, how we can integrate these essential oils and the supplements that we have. You know, like you, Doc, in my practice, we're like a collaborative team. So we use food as a form of medicine. So when we look at the whole systems of the patient, and so when there's too much, we reduce that, and then where something that is lacking, then we add more of that. The good thing is that, this is the reality in my practice naman, Doc. Not all the clients or patients can follow by heart kung ano yung food plans, di ba? So for example, I'm dealing with someone, kunwari lang, ang problem is yung cardio or yung heart, di ba? So it means kailangan natin medyo i-reduce yung mga foods na high in cholesterol, right? And not all people can really stand to commit on the food plans that we lay down to them. Now the good thing to that is here comes the alternative. Like we have the supplements here that you could see, or the essential oil. Along with that, that's how I integrate that. I recommend this to them to help bring back their body to homeostasis or into balance. And like you do, diba? Most of them, they always have great results by so far. Now, for disclaimer, since we talk about these oils, because lately I was handling with one client who has an autoimmune with G6PD. So if you're dealing with something like that, anything like the mint, peppermint, or anything minty, it's not allowed to them. Because yung mint, it will activate the anemic cells, and we don't want that. So this just one of some situations or cases that sometimes we really need to consider before we recommend something. Alright, so Doc, now that we have shared all our insights to our viewers, paano nila ma-avail itong mga oils? And before you share that, Doc, di ba may promo tayo this month, Doc?
Actually, hindi ko memorize.
Diba?
Sorry na lang.
Okay
Hindi ko
lang.
memorize. I actually saw it yesterday.
Yeah, sure. So this month of September, napakaganda ng promo natin here in doTERRA Philippines. So if you're already an existing user or member, when you buy 125 PV, then you get a free wild orange. Now, when you are not yet a member or a member, and then you buy about 150 PV, kasi bawat product doon, may equivalent points to. Example, yung lavender, 25 points. So, pag bumili kang 100 PV yon, yung points. So, kapag bumili ka this month ng 150 PV to 199, you will get a free Roman chamomile. And then kapag 200 PV, wow! My favorite oil, Immortel Anti-Aging Blend yun. In total, yung mga freebies na yun this month, kapag bumili kang 200 PV, that's like almost 10,000 do. So,
Grabe pala savings.
Oo, malaki yung savings do. So, paano ba nila ito ma-avail, Doc? Mag-enroll sa'yo, joke.
Well, unang-una, syempre, if you're open to the use of natural solutions,
True.
or you want to learn, explore, you can contact directly with them.
True.
Or if you have a friend like us,
Who introduce
you towards this video, like si Paulette,
Yeah.
you can message her, or you can message me. Or you can message your friend who is trying to reach out to you.
Or whoever introduced you to this journey.
Yeah. But it's really worth it. Ako, I have no regrets. That's why I'm here. And I travel to the Philippines every 3 months, 6 months. I'll just introduce more people to doTERRA. So ako, I guarantee you, as a doctor, I always have that good faith in this company that they will not short sell. And they will give you the desired results for whatever you are trying to struggle.
I agree with that, Doc. No? So, all right. Thank you to all our viewers. So, just connect with the person who introduced you to this and then ask them how you can avail these essential oils and the products. So, bye everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a great one.